Hi everyone, my name is Jesse Smith. I'm a master carpenter and a master HVAC contractor. My work focuses on diagnosing and fixing complex problems in buildings. Like many of you, I've been following discussions about schools reopening against a backdrop of varying rates of COVID-19 in their communities. I'm going to post a bunch of links to information from public health officials and epidemiologists that provide guidance and criterion for safely doing so, but these are mostly outside my area of expertise. Today I want to focus on one thing related to the management of school environments that is inside my expertise: the mechanical systems built to provide good indoor air quality in schools. It's now widely recognized that COVID-19 can be transmitted through the air. This is why we are encouraged to wear masks, especially when we're indoors. My central focus here is on the two strategies that can be used to reduce COVID-19 transmission risk in schools. These are ventilation and filtration. So what is ventilation? The country's premier mechanical engineering organization is the American Society of Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers, or ASHRAE. ASHRAE defines ventilation as the process of supplying air to or removing air from a space for the purpose of controlling air contaminant levels, humidity, or temperature within the space. In really simple terms, ventilation replaces air indoors with fresh air from outdoors. There are many things people get wrong about ventilation. Many people use the term ventilation interchangeably with heating or cooling, and they may think of a space that's too warm in a building as having insufficient ventilation. But this is not the case. In general, cooling is not the same as ventilating. To be ventilation, the air has to originate from outdoors. Also, the presence of an air distribution system or a duct system doesn't tell us necessarily that there's a system of ventilation. In many residences across the country, I would say most residences across the country, the heating and cooling ducts don't provide fresh air to the space, so they are not also ventilation ducts. Another common misconception is that air that's recirculated by either room fans or the central heating and cooling fan is ventilation air. So people might feel that a space is underventilated if they don't feel air being blown around a room. But this is not the case. Remember, for air to be ventilation air, it has to originate outdoors. So let's put ventilation in the context of COVID-19 transmission risk. You've probably heard the risk of transmission is much less in outdoor environments. In essence, ventilation air makes indoor environments much more like the outdoors by replacing indoor air with outdoor air. Ventilation standards for buildings have been around for about a century. And the most widespread standard, again developed by the people at ASHRAE, was released in 1973. The standard that's applied to schools is known as ASHRAE 62.1. It's noteworthy that the standard is widely viewed as effective at reducing COVID-19 transmission risk. If you're building a new building, I would recommend that you just go consult the standard. You can also get spreadsheets online that allow you to work to the standard very accurately. So I'm going to generalize for the purpose of simplicity and say that most classrooms designed to ASHRAE 62.1 are going to end up between 3 and 5 air changes per hour of ventilation. So let's take a hypothetical classroom that's 20 feet by 30 feet with 10-foot high ceilings. The cubic volume of this space is 6,000 cubic feet. We want to turn the air over on that space, let's say 4 times. So we're going to end up with 24,000 cubic feet per hour of ventilation air. Now we're going to divide that by 60 minutes to arrive at the common HVAC rating system of cubic feet per minute, or CFM, and this works out to 400 CFM of required ventilation air. There's a good chance that if we were at 300 CFM we might be okay, but we know that if we ended up with 50 or even 100 CFM, we're going to have inadequate ventilation air to the space. A large number of schools either don't have ventilation systems at all, or the ventilation systems they have are inadequate. In addition, many schools that have properly designed ventilation systems may have insufficient airflow to individual classrooms due to installer error or potential changes in the building over time. So the implications here are that we need to go through every classroom in the country and measure ventilation flow rates on a room-by-room basis across every single school. There's no other pathway forward to accomplishing what we need to do. The second topic we need to address is air filtration. Again, air filtration is something that people get confused. They mix it up with ventilation or other functions in the building. Air filtration is simply the process of recycling room air through a device designed to capture indoor contaminants. Filtration is largely viewed as supplemental to ventilation and less important. To reduce COVID-19 transmission risk, classrooms that have 3 air changes per hour of ventilation should also have 3 air changes per hour of filtration for a total of 6 air changes per hour. If we increase the ventilation rate to a given classroom, we can reduce the filtration rate. So for instance, a classroom that has 5 air changes per hour of ventilation could be as low as 1 air change of filtration. We're always going to be trading off ventilation with filtration. HVAC filters are rated by particulate size that can fit through the filter in a system called Minimum Efficiency Reporting Value, or MERV. It's widely recognized that a MERV 13 filter is the minimum particulate filter for reducing COVID-19 transmission risk. A higher MERV filter would have a smaller particulate size and therefore potentially be a better candidate. There are also high efficiency particulate air filters, or HEPA filters, that you've probably heard of. Now you might ask, why doesn't everyone just use HEPA filters or really fine MERV filters to reduce the risk? The answer is, as we make filters increasingly restrictive, we generally are going to trade off airflow rates. So as we make those filters more restrictive, the airflow across them tends to fall. So we're always going to play this kind of balancing game between particulate size and airflow. Ventilation and filtration play a major role in COVID-19 transmission risk reduction, and neither of them are particularly well understood. So in future videos, what I'd like to do is tackle common questions regarding ventilation and filtration in classrooms. And I'd also like to assess answers to questions that I'm seeing from local school districts, both from the district themselves and from the people who work on their HVAC systems. You can post your questions in the comments sections below, and I'll be happy to try to answer any questions you might have to the best of my ability. Thanks for watching.